All right, we are live. Today's the 27th. Now, this isn't officially Infinite Plane Saturn Day. That'll begin later when I have my notes, and then I'll have the phone set up. But I had to stop because I'm working on this drawing of a tree, and I was about to leave, and then the sun comes out. So I'm going to use this opportunity to add some highlights. I can see the leaves a lot more clearly now. Mine is just charcoal. I've been working on nothing but charcoal a couple of months now, and I'm going to continue with this. Painting is just time and resource intensive, and I think as far as the amount of time that goes into it, it's far more cost efficient for me to produce drawings at this time for my eBay store. But anyway, the drama on the right just indicates how low of a PSYOP week it has been. There's been some comic relief, like the cheesecloth guy returning to the scene of the crime and then crying on camera, like the same way he did a selfie to show off his bleeding head wound. It's like, maybe you should put a stop to that hemorrhaging first before you post it on TikTok. But these crisis actors are next level. Like, they're on X defending their performances. It's like, that was fake. And they're like, no, I promise you it wasn't fake. And they're inundated with AI. I mean, this thing's a comedy. If you think about the meta script, the big picture, the manufactured history, if history is in fact a contrivance, a literal story that suits the interests of the power elite, what kind of story is it? Is it a horror story? Is it bad science fiction? Is it a tragedy? And at times I think it's comedy, if you have the right perspective. But if you have the right perspective and you're laughing at the appropriate places, you're looked at as insensitive by the people who have no clue. Like, there are people who are getting mad at those who are, quote, widow shaming because they are mocking Erica Kirk's public appearances. Because she does come out like a WWE champion with fireworks and music, and the graphics at America Fest, which were just like pentagrams, pentagons, figures in black, Illuminati triangles. Like, what the hell was that? And then Jack Posabet comes out with a rosary above his head. I don't know if that's how those things are supposed to be used. Like it's some kind of Gandalf staff. Like he was up there just pumping his fist with a rosary in it. But these are all performative Catholics, performative Christians. There's been this expose on Jack Posabek, which, to me it's old news, but something came up that I think is interesting. He has publicly admitted that the QAnon movement was two of his friends. And for reasons I don't know, nobody in mainstream or alternative media has bothered to get to the PSYOP. Who did that? Who misled all these people? Who encouraged the QAnon shaman to put on animal skins and run into the Capitol? Nobody cares? Like, what the hell? That doesn't make any sense to me. Well, actually, it makes sense to me because I have a little bit of insight into the matter here. But I think I know who those two people are. And one of them lost his White House press pass the night of January 6th, or the night before, for having some kind of a meeting in the White House with a lot of social media types when they planned the insurrection thing. But I'd like to know, what does Jack Posabek know? Like, why doesn't that information get out? You'd think somebody would want some credit for it. What's up, the incompletist? Sync Lloyd. Yeah, Woo's news is pretty good. He's done some good breakdowns of January 6th, but to be honest, he didn't take that same critical lens and apply it to Butler or to the Utah event, which somebody focused exclusively on one event. It makes them seem like limited hangout operatives. Like Bart Sabrell debunking the moon for decades, the moon landing, but never bothering to touch the ISS. Like, I'm sorry, but it's starting to look a little like controlled opposition to me. I mean, coming up with ways to explode what we're doing. And the book promotion comes next. I've already ordered those books, and so we should be getting the Amazon package with all the books I can sign, and I'll send them out that day. But that's when we begin this whole process of, basically we want a collision between the subset of the Big Truman Show, which we call Trutherville, and the off-world stage perspective. I think now is a perfect time to stir up some debate. And it's the reason it's twofold. One, there is indeed a chasm between alt media and our perspective. We want to emphasize that. We want to emphasize the differences. But then the second part of it is we want to draw in those who have seen enough to understand what we're looking at, and to thereby bring them into the off-world stage perspective, because we're going to need a lot more people in order to affect what I'm calling the great deconstruction. And this will be a project that will take a lot of people's hard work, I think. With the help of AI, it's achievable. And once we get it started, it's just going to keep going, and it needs to happen. And if you don't know what that is, it's a concept I have for the parallel media, where we do a documentation of all of the fake events in the last century. And on a Wikipedia style article with 3 columns, one of them representing the mainstream view, the second, the alternative conspiratorial view, and the third, the off-world stage perspective, which would include hoax indicators, wider context, predictive, concurrent, reinforcement programming, directors, metascriptors, etc. And we want to do this for the last 100 years at least. So we can point out how there's a continuity of fakery. So these events aren't happening in isolation, like a PR stunt happens, they get their clicks, and they move on. No, these become persistent artifacts. They remain in our collective worldview. So what that means is that there's a separate timeline that you can differentiate, the one that is imposed over the real world. And the real world, we're talking about reality testing or testable things, testable claims, the weather, the stuff they can't mess with, they can only exaggerate, the stuff that you can't dispute, and then the stuff that they add on, the stuff that we can consider to be contemporary myths, the PSYOP transmitted events, the PSYOP entertainment complex productions. And this is where there's a separate timeline, and when you look at the two of them separately, you can see, okay, well, if your worldview presupposes timeline A is real, you have one perspective. If your point of view is that timeline B is accurate, then you have a separate perspective. Built-in presuppositions, a whole lot of assumptions, hyperstitions. It's hyper reality. And what we are operating on here is the premise that the perspective that includes cognizance of the fakery going back in time is really what constitutes this third perspective. It's not mainstream, it's not alternative. It's one that recognizes that there's a long-term agenda. So a lot of people in Trutherville recognize fake stuff. They can see squibs on occasion, but they haven't put it into a timeline. And that's the crucial distinction here. And it makes a big difference, especially when you start getting into approximating how far in advance these various psyops have been put into the schedule. All of the major terror attacks of 2026 are already scheduled. All of the things that your friends and family are going to react to have already been scheduled and planned. They're just practicing their lines. Plain Dakota says, boil some vinegar to get rid of the rain clouds. Yeah, it's too late. Had I boiled vinegar a couple hours ago, the chemtrails would have disappeared and we wouldn't have this rain, which is full of aluminum and barium and mind control nanobots. Truman B says, this morning I used Google AI to create a penguin on a steamroller smoking a cigar while steamrolling globes. Turned out pretty good. You know, for some time, when this channel started, we did a couple of art shows, and I would just get a venue. Everybody would send their stuff here, and everybody sold their stuff because I combined it with the live stream. And then, of course, we had prints and sculptures. I mean, a lot of people did contribute to it. But following that, I thought we need to have an IPS-sponsored art show consisting of memes, all of our best memes, just blown up to poster size. And with that, a lot of cyborg penguin art, obviously. But I'm still very much open to the idea. I mean, memes are, in fact, you know, basically works of art, units of meaning. Braveheart says, could you say Seattle being nuked is the zombie epidemic of drugs and crime? My assessment of the predictive programming shows the Seattle event involving the Kraken, Godzilla, the nuke, the Space Needle being destroyed as some kind of icon symbolic of what the Twin Towers represented, but blowing the Great Tower would probably have been redundant. And then there's another element too, and it has to do with this connection between 9/11 and this prophesied Space Needle event. Like, these are both like events, but it's supposed to be, from my interpretation, domestic terrorists, which doesn't necessarily mean right wing, but I kind of thought that was always implied. The whole Turner Diaries, Waco, and even the Tom Clancy stuff, it always insinuates the right wing, especially when you get into the code with the dates and stuff. But then I watched Wicked Part 1, which is Antifa coded, and the Wicked Witch with the green face, which is like the Joker's green hair. This is all class warfare symbolism. She flies up in the air, sends out some electric, like these like bolts of electricity, and basically EMPs the Emerald City, which of course the Emerald City is code for Seattle. I mean, I've been open to the idea that all the prophecy about ground zero